All right. All right. We'll start. This is the
119th.
100th
Meeting.
meeting of our EMS building. Who wants to start?
I can give a rundown. Okay, so
Yeah.
Silas Canavan with Canavan Civil Consultants, civil engineer for the project. I just wanted to, this plan is what we had looked at last time, so just wanted to kind of remind everyone what we had talked about. We had looked at a couple of concepts. So this is Community Road right here, and then this is Mountain Road down here. This is the community television building, just to get everyone oriented. We had looked at a couple of concepts that are right up against the road because we had the time what we thought was a stream here, and that pushed us, back towards the road with setbacks. All of those concepts were pretty challenging, I think, as we all agreed. So we ended up also looking at another concept, putting the building on the other side of the stream, kind of in the more upland area back here. We did have to cross the stream to get there, but certainly seemed like it opened up the site quite a bit in order to provide, everything that everyone wanted for the goals of this project. However, in order to work back here, we did have to get a little bit more wetland investigation done. So we've done that over the last couple of weeks. We had another wetland scientist go out there and map the area. So this is the area that was previously considered to be a stream by Flycatcher, but our current wetland professional did not agree that that was a stream. It is just a wetland from his perspective. So there is no real stream channel there, a stream in quotes for DEP purposes.
Lucian used to work for the DEP.
Yes, so BH2M is a company that did this mapping for us. The wetland professional is Lucian Langlois. He used to be, he actually worked for the DEP for many years, and he did these exact stream determinations for a number of years. So we're pretty confident that he's got this right. However, even though it's not a stream, if some of you remember, there was actually a vernal pool study done by another wetland consultant a number of years ago, and they actually identified a significant vernal pool, which is off the page, but up to the north of the site quite a ways. That vernal pool actually falls within this wetland here, so the wetland is not considered, in our area, is not considered a vernal pool, but because the vernal pool falls within it, it's considered a wetland of special significance. So there's still a little bit of some permitting hurdles we have to jump through, but it's better that it's a wetland of special significance and not a stream because it makes the permitting a little bit easier.
And that's a different vernal pool from the one we were looking at.
Correct.
We've known that one was up there.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the one that we had was, or not even
Yep.
a vernal pool. Yeah.
Right, and that's down here, and we're not even touching that area at all. So anyway, so we do still have similar setbacks to what the stream, if it was a stream. So we do still have to cross that, and then this thick. To back up a little bit. These blue areas here, these are the additional wetland fingers that were identified when BH2M went out there and did their wetland analysis. So. Now we believe that we've got the entire area covered with the correct classification of all the wetlands. This thick dashed area here is the working area that we're proposing to put the new building. So this is the layout. It's slightly different than what our concept was last time. We've actually rotated the building, and I believe we flipped it as well, so it's a mirror image. What that allows us to do is a couple things. For one, it gives us a southerly facing facade of the building, so the front of the building, so the main entrance would be right here. And then we'd have 24 parking spaces in this area. This portion here would be the apparatus bay, and then obviously we have our access drive. We are still gonna need a culvert there. Right now, we're proposing it's gonna be a 4x4 box culvert. With some head walls, because we do have to minimize the wetland impact on that area. But still, that's smaller than it would have to be if it was a stream. And then this is the administrative area, and then we have the oil grit separator and the storage tank for the hazmat liquids that come out of the decon room. We have our 30,000 gallon fire suppression, or supply, I should say, on this side of the building. And then we have our septic system in the back, so we've got septic tank here. And then this is just an assumed location for the leach field. We'll have to have a site evaluator go out and locate that, but I'm hoping we can put it out here somewhere. It gets a little tight on this side, and it's pretty steep over here, so it seems like this is probably the reasonable spot for it. But it is shallow to ledge, so we are gonna have to maybe search around a little bit for a location of a septic tank, or a leach field, I should say. This crushed stone here, that's just a stormwater system. It's sort of the simplest, cheapest, and least amount of maintenance stormwater system. So water just falls off the roof into this crushed stone reservoir, and then we'll have an outlet for that. We will likely need a little bit of a stormwater basin. We're thinking somewhere down here to treat most of the parking lot area as well. So this is the same plan, but we've put some preliminary site grading on it. So, you know, if you're not familiar with topographic plans, each one of these lines represents a contour elevation. So they're 1 foot increments. So the more lines there are, the higher the ground is. So you can see we do have to climb a little bit, and it is going to take a little bit of fill to get us up there just because of the change in grade that we have. And we're trying to minimize the amount of blasting that would be required, or potentially eliminate it all depending on how deep it is out here. We're assuming it's only a couple feet deep, similar to what it was down in this area. So we're trying to get that building up as high as we can, but it's a balance between the amount of fill we need. And that's something we'll continue to work through as we refine the design. Again, just kind of showing the culvert head walls here, you can kind of see. And these will have to be stabilized. These can be vegetated slopes, but they'll have either erosion control matting or turf reinforcement matting on them, so they're stabilized. And then because of these slopes, I think we're also going to need some guardrail along a portion of the access road just for safety. We're going to have to do some diversion swales from a stormwater perspective to kind of get this upgrading runoff around the site, because currently it's draining through this wetland, you know, through where the building sits now. So we'll have to redirect a little bit. We've also run some turning templates based on the last time that we spoke. So this is showing a 36-foot long vehicle that's able to pull in and back into this is the tightest maneuver, so that's what we modeled. They can pull in and back into the site and pull out without impacting parked cars or driving off the pavement, obviously. And then this one is the truck with a boat trailer. So we've got an F-150 pulling I believe it's a 30-foot boat trailer. We're able to pull that forward, back that into the bay, and then pull out as well. So from a access perspective for the fire vehicles, we think that this will work. The nice thing about this layout is that it also, so here's just the layout again to show you. But what this also allows for, and it sounds like it's probably not feasible from a cost perspective for this phase, but if there was ever a phase 2, we could add a loop around the building, and we can put another paved apron in the back.
Nice.
And so that potentially gives the option for a pull-through 360. You know, obviously that'll require some more earthwork, possibly some more blasting along this edge here, but it's doable. So we just wanted to show you that, you know, we've factored that into the design so that it can be done in the future if desired and the money is available. And then again, here's that same sort of, we'll call it phase 2 layout with some additional site grading, just to kind of give you a sense of what that looks like. Yeah, overall, we feel like we've got a pretty good layout at this point. And we've got Mark's going to run some pricing and see kind of where we stand, and, you know, if we have to adjust some of the elevations, you know, or other site features, we can do that as we work through it. And then we did also run those same turning calculations through the phase 2 building as well, to just make sure that, again, if this happens, it's doable. It's feasible to get your vehicles in and out, and obviously this would not require turning if you can pull straight through.
So on a couple of those site plans, it looks like the crushed stone is where Bay 4 would go in the future. So would it not make sense to move that over, the crushed stone over, so you don't have to relocate that when we put the addition on?
So we could, the way that those treatment systems work is they're supposed to come right off the roof without hitting the ground and go into them. The reality is it's only about 1.5 feet of crushed stone. And then below that, it's just sort of foundation backfill until you get down to your foundation drain. So it's not really a significant cost to, you know, you could pull that up. I mean, you have to excavate it anyway to build phase 2 if you add on. So to pull that up and move it over, and you could potentially even reuse that same stone for the, because phase 2, we did have it, we still have that same, same style, but
Yep.
it is just pushed over a little bit, so. Again, something maybe we can talk about, you know, cost
Well, and
saving.
then, of course,
but-
you got the parking area, you're gonna have to move the parking area, the left-hand parking spots over as well, right?
No, actually, we've held that right where it should be
Oh,
for,
okay, perfect.
so we don't have to move that. I know we had talked about that last time, so we pushed that away so we don't have to move that.
And then, if I may, so you're gonna have to have a catch pond, maybe on the south side of the driveway? Is that what you were saying?
This right here?
Yeah,
Yeah, some sort of stormwater treatment basin. I don't know what it's gonna be quite yet, but we're gonna have to do something. Yeah.
so would that be clean water that's just captured there? Is that what's going in that?
It's just stormwater runoff, so it's just running off of the pavement, and then it'll be potentially piped into like catch basins and then outlet. And what that'll be is like, probably some sort of stormwater filter, so there'll be a ponded area above that maybe holds 1.5 feet of water. And then that'll trickle through a sand filter, and then into an under drain system.
So, I've seen in the past where they built ponds like that, but they were able to add enough, volume to it so that it could be used for an actual pond for water supply. I'm not talking about for the building sprinkler system, but we
Yep.
could put a dry hydrant in it,
Yep.
right, is what I'm thinking.
So,
If you've gotta have a place to collect water anyways, stormwater runoff, why couldn't we?
yeah, I mean, it's a good thought. My experience with those is that, they need to be quite large because you have to factor in, you know, in order to have a reasonable volume to utilize, you have to factor in usually like, I think it's like 1.5 feet of ice on top of, you know, and then potentially some sedimentation throughout the years. So, you know, kind of squeezes your volume down. Given where that is, my gut tells me that there's probably not gonna be enough volume to make it worthwhile from a firefighting standpoint. We can certainly look at it, but it would also have to be quite a bit deeper in order to do that, which would probably end up leading to more blasting.
Yeah, you're probably talking 6 feet.
Yeah, at least. And then, I'm not saying it's not possible, but we can certainly look at it. But my gut tells me that I don't think we'd probably get the volume that would really be usable for you guys. But
Just wonder if there's some way to capture that runoff anyway, so it's usable. I mean,
Yep.
whether it would be a cistern or something like that, I don't know.
yeah, sure, we can certainly look into it.
I mean, like, if you kept your tank water storage to refill the trucks in an open pond like that, you would have to have something that was constantly overcoming the evaporation. Think about the drought we're in right now, like, that's just gonna be bone dry, even just from the sun baking in there, unless you had like a spring or something. The ones that really work are the ones that are like being
Yeah, but-
replenished all the time,
Source, yeah.
Yeah,
so
I
like,
mean, if,
That's why it said cistern, maybe you wouldn't have the evaporative.
yeah, it would,
Right,
you'd have
yeah.
that, overcome that.
I don't think we'd wanna run stormwater into a cistern just because of all the other stuff that comes along with stormwater runoff. You know, you get like leaf litter and stuff in there, and then it's challenging to clean out.
Just trying to be creative.
Yeah, no, it's a great idea, and, you know, if we had the room, I think absolutely, and like I say, I'm happy to look into it and see if we can come up with a reasonable volume. But I just don't wanna get your hopes up without looking at it closely.
So is that picture of phase 2 that made me smile so much and give the funds a really a,
Let's worry about phase 1.
well, I'm just wondering if the money, if the Senate earmark were to come through, would that fit within the budget?
I doubt it. The earmark money's gonna cover what we're doing now.
Well, but remember, it was gonna include the fourth bay and stuff as
I
well.
think that's a question for Wright Ryan to figure out based on the latest.
So you, like, the big thing that, like, this relocation of the building does is, you know, we had in the value engineering exercises that we did first, we limited the amount of paving and all that, and so pushing this back, you know, it's 24-foot wide road that you gotta go, what is it, 300 feet, if that?
Yeah, it's
Back
about 253, yeah.
200, 350, whatever, you know, somewhere 300, whatever, and so you got a longer road, you got a box culvert, so you're increasing that, having the continuation of the road around the loop, I would defer to.
I mean, we're not rebuilding Community Drive any longer. That was a huge savings.
Yeah.
So, I think what Mark's getting at is that I think that the really good news right now is that, and I don't know, do we actually have the drawing that has all the grades on it? Did you send that? Okay, cool. So I think the good news right now is that we do have enough to actually go to a site sub,
Yeah,
a couple local site subs, and really get some good site numbers, because as we recall previously, we basically had a site allowance. So now what we can say is like, this is really the site, this is really what we're doing, and then we could ask them to give us, you know, okay, so what does this cost versus the scheme A, the phase one? And then I think we can have a better understanding of how we'd like to, how would we like to go forward?
and I would want someone to help provide us some guidance on how we segregate that too, in the eyes of if it is funds, if it's commingled or not, if it's phase one versus phase two.
Yeah.
So that is something I don't know how to opine on, because I'm not aware if there are rules on that.
But we don't know what kind of rules and regulations that federal earmark would come with. So that's a piece, nobody knows, so that's a piece that's sort of an unknown for right now. The other thing, I think Mark and I were looking at this earlier, and I think, and you may have covered this, and I apologize for being late, I got stuck. Do we have a geotech? Do we have a geotech in this area? Not yet, right? Any geotech report in this specific area? No. So I think we probably,
You can just go up with a piece of rebar, and you can pretty much.
yeah, I mean, I think
do your
Mark, was
geotech.
that what you were thinking of, or would you like something a little more? Are we looking for something a little more?
Yeah, I mean, like, we would want, so we'd just get geotech to just say if there it is, you know, if he does 5 shovel test pits or a thing on that, and then he says the rock is here, great, let's give a detail real quick that Andy can design to, and that we're gonna have, this is how you work over the top of the ledge condition and
Right,
the
can we pin-
backfill requirements and all that.
Can we pin to ledge? Is it shaly ledge? Is it, can we pin to it? Can we look, how do we treat it? And then that will also impact, obviously, any stormwater treatment areas we have. How does it percolate into how does it get it back into the soil then, plus also the
Septic system.
septic system, which would, I think, a
We
geotech.
might be able to, maybe the site evaluator he's gonna be digging around anyway, can
Okay.
kind of give us some ideas.
Mhm.
But like I said, I went down just myself on the last site and took a big, steel rod and a sledgehammer, and it was pretty much 10 to 24 inches.
Mhm.
Looked pretty organic on top of solid rock.
Yeah, and will your structural engineer be looking for some kind of geotech report to start from?
Yeah, I think
Okay.
I mean, the plan is just to clean off the ledge, and we'll just pin the foundation slab on grade right to the ledge. So,
I mean, the positive this has is that this is a fill site more or less now, and you're trying to limit the rock by picking up, like, you imagine, like, I think it's basically like the general principle of this, is that the top right corner is kind of at grade, and then you're a little bit of change, but like it's kind of flat, if you will, filling as you go down and to the left a little bit more, so that's like a bigger fill there till you get to the stream.
Right.
So you have a lot of volume that you're not trying to remove rock from, you're just filling over the top, a lot easier, so.
Do you have an elevation design for this yet?
yeah.
An actual face-on elevation? To give us an idea what's the grade on that?
Oh, you mean a section through the
Yeah.
road kind of thing?
Or any kind of elevation grade?
Well, so I set some preliminary grades on there, and I just, for now, I kind of set them, I think maybe, where are we at? I think we're at about essentially a foot above existing grade right now. So, that would put it doesn't give us a ton of play, depending on where the ledge falls. But, you know, that can come up or down a little bit depending on, you know, if we do some ledge probes and, you know, figure out what the elevations actually are that are restricting us from, ledge removal.
Like I said, we're probably gonna have that kinda cleaned off, and then gravel, compacted gravel base and a slab right on it, and
So we're
Pin
still
the
too early in to
foundation.
know whether or not that driveway is like a 2% grade or.
Oh, you're talking about, so it is a bit, I mean, so it comes up at 3%, at the intersection here. And then we're going up at about 5.5 to about the stream. And then I think, if I remember correctly, we're not going any more than 8%. That's the maximum that, I wanna hold it at. And then it flattens out in the, you know, the parking lot area flattens out. So the steepest section is gonna be right here. And I think we're a little bit less than 8% there currently, but I'd have to go back to some other, calculations I've done, but that's the steepest section.
8%'s like what you see on a wheelchair ramp maximum, so.
Yeah, and we can run a fire truck profile on it too, just to make sure, you know, there's not gonna, I mean, I know there won't be, but we can just visually show it, that there won't be any issues with,
Okay.
bottoming out or anything like that.
Get a running start when you go running the calls.
It's a pretty hard turn to the left when you get to the bottom of the driveway.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could, you know, we could maybe widen this too. I haven't done a whole lot with this intersection yet.
or
but,
just
you know,
turn it
we-
more, cause you're never gonna be going up to the transfer station, right? Or,
Not
yeah, that
never.
would-
no, Unless there's a fire, I guess.
Yeah, you know, right.
It has
Less
happened.
likely.
But we could potentially widen these radii a little bit to give you an easier turn. But we can model those as well too, to make sure that they're gonna work for you.
But I think mostly you're going left. I would say maybe tilt the road, turn the road to the left.
Yep.
So good, we're slowly making headway
Yeah.
on it all. And, we're working on the wood frame drawings, a little bit more for you.
Yep.
So next big piece will be to have these guys kinda come in with the, you know, how we're doing on the budget.
Yeah, I mean, like, so you flipped it a little bit, so your primary entrance is in the south, so you kind of reshuffle a couple of the
Yeah, just
offices where the
offices, yeah,
little
yeah.
entry
Yep.
corridor was, it flips around, you're just moving the same squares around in the
Right.
same rectangle,
Right.
so. You know,
So
it's-
the building's still the same as that.
So now
That's
this-
the last rendition that we showed, kinda, with the gable front.
So, yeah,
So that's not gonna be ideal later with solar or anything on the roof. Now we're facing the other direction. Which
I think
isn't
it's,
really a concern to me, but.
Yeah, I think, I mean, we can keep, the way we deal with that is if it's a east-west, then we just try to reduce it down to like a 412, a slighter pitch, and like I said, at a 412, even if you're facing east or west, you lose maybe 20%, you know, but you can also put them on both sides of the building.
Yeah, you have to think about like the trade-off if you want, like, the nice, you know, you have the winter sun that helps melt out the driveway and keeps, you know, a nice sunny disposition, you get the windows coming in.
Yeah.
Versus having the drip coming in there, so you're shedding the water either way rather than right into the doors, so.
You got your equipment too, I mean, if we made that last bay a little, can't remember how I did it on the last one, but if it was a little less headroom, you have enough equipment that could go into a shallower instead of the 14x14 door, or,
That's always a shot in the dark, especially, I mean, the boats on the trailers have pretty high headroom, and to get them backed in there, you're.
I'm just
going up on
talking
the
like
side.
maybe, 12x12 or 12x14 maybe, I don't know, I can't remember what I got on that, I might have stuck a hole. I think I shallowed, just for the last bay, brought the roof down a little bit more, so I think and I think we are at maybe just 312, 412 on that whole building. So, to kind of keep that from going, so it's full height bays on the 3 bays, and then as the roof slopes down, we just lose a little bit on that, on the additional bay that we're gonna add onto it. So,
One thing I did wanna just ask you guys to make sure that it seems reasonable. Assuming we only do the phase one portion of the building or of the project, we did put the septic tank in the back of the building. So I don't know if these bay doors would be installed at that point, but my thought was that, you know, every now and then this needs to be pumped out by a pumper truck. So my thought is that, you know, if it's coordinated with you guys, they could kind of almost pull through the building to access that. Otherwise, we'd have to find a different place where it's a little bit closer to the paved area that we could put that septic tank, but ideally not in a place where we'd have to move it later.
Yeah.
just add one door back there.
Yeah, something
I
like
was gonna
that.
frame it, if we didn't put the doors in, I was gonna frame the headers and,
Yeah.
or the door openings
Yep.
and just
Well,
infill
you
it now so that you could.
But I
take
also
it
just
out.
wanted to make sure that wasn't like a, you know, a non-starter for you guys to
No.
potentially have them, give them access through the building like that.
But you could put a man door there in the meantime, you know, to get, you know, to pump out the tank.
Oh, yeah, I guess I could do it and just
Right.
don't spill.
Yeah,
Could do
they'd have to
it
back
inside
into
the
the,
bay.
they still have to get into the bay. But I don't think their hose would be long enough to get through the whole thing, but yeah, they could just go out the door.
Not the weirdest place they've ever dragged a hose.
Probably not.
Would, so if we ever do phase two, is that tank, that holding tank gonna be, where it's underneath the pavement, is that gonna be a problem?
No, I think it would be designed as an H20 rated, tank that, you know, can be driven over. So I don't anticipate that being a problem.
It just gets a real manhole cover instead of the little fake
Mm-hmm.
precast tops like the residential ones have.
Yep, and we just set it low enough that, you know, we'd be able to build up the gravel above it.
So what are the next steps?
Get our updates and this, over to Ryan, and
Yep.
let's have get another look at the price. I think, you know, we're, at this point, we'd be, you know, we're still lower, we're, you know, looking at like not finishing some rooms, doing things like that, so, but let's see where we're at right now.
From the civil side, there's a little bit of permitting that needs to happen with the DEP because of the wetland impacts, so, I'd like, assuming that, you know, this is
Yeah.
what everyone's agreeing on for the layout, or something very similar to it, then, I'd like to get started with those conversations with the DEP.
Meet with the town planner first?
Sure.
before- Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think you had one meeting, maybe Silas, you weren't there, I'm not sure. but-
I was there for the initial one,
Okay.
yeah, and we had
Oh, thank you.
briefly talked about,
But I think that's good, she's familiar with, you know, our ordinances
Yep.
and just get feedback from her.
yeah, we can absolutely have another meeting with her,
Yeah.
now that we got a little more, you know,
Oh,
a
and I
firm
think she'll
plan.
have code enforcement there too.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Great.
certainly. But the DEP, they have a little bit more of a longer lead time, so I'd like,
right.
as long as the town's okay with that, I'd like to reach out to them and try to get
Yeah.
that process going.
So are we still under permit by rule with this now, or no?
No, so it's gonna be, because it's this finger here is a wetland of special significance, not to bore you with the details, but technically it would take what they call a full NERPA permit, which is kind of a big permit. However, if there's no other reasonable way to access a site, the DEP will oftentimes let you knock that down to what they call a tier one NERPA permit, which is much less intense than a full NERPA permit. And that's the initial conversation that I want to have with the DEP to make sure that they're going to allow us to do that. I don't see why they wouldn't.
It's only 4 feet wide.
Yeah, it's a minimal impact here, so, but that's what I just wanna make sure, and, you know, that we don't have to go through all those hoops for minimal impact, so it'll probably be a tier one NERPA permit. And that actually would be it from the DEP perspective. We don't trigger stormwater permits on this. We'll probably need a stormwater permit by rule, depending on what the overall disturbance is, because it'll probably be a little bit more than an acre. But that's a pretty basic permit that only takes a couple weeks to get once we submit it, so,
And that goes through, is that through DEP as well?
yes.
Okay, and so this is plus or minus more than an acre, so we will need a main contractor's permit? plus or
Yeah,
minus?
we'll need a main
Main
construction general permit,
Okay.
yeah, and then well, actually, maybe you guys could be the operator for that. The contractor has to get that now. They
Yeah,
choose
we
the rules.
typically
to
do
do
that,
it
and
now.
it has to be within a certain time of
Yes.
starting. So we'll just,
Right.
all we wanna do is kinda get these things kinda sorta on the schedule, so
Yep.
that we can see, you know, are we getting everything we need in time? And then on the DEP, on the tier one NERPA permit, How long are you seeing those take in DEP these days?
So they're actually only supposed to take 45 days from when you submit them for a tier
Okay.
one. So that one, it's another reason why we want to get it knocked down, because if it's a full NERPA permit, it's like 6 months.
Yeah,
But, you know, well, it's 45 days, plus I think they give themselves 15 extra days to process it. So you're looking at like 2 months, basically,
Yeah.
for approval of a tier one.
Are we going to, like, reach that threshold for like a main site development?
Site location,
slow.
Because it's on the same lot as the transfer station, the recycling center, and it seems like that issue has come up at different times.
Has it? Okay, yeah.
well,
That was
I mean-
something that I was thinking about. But I was doing some permit research, and it
Mm-hmm.
didn't appear that there was a permit on the site yet.
I think we haven't triggered it, but I think
Okay.
they
So have you-
say if you do more, you know who would know would be Will Haskell. He's been our town engineer.
Okay,
So I can
Right.
send you his contact information.
with Goral Palmer? Or-
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Or
whatever
there's now a
it is
new
but
company,
yeah.
right, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, if they've got any background information on
Yes.
that, that would be great. I'm hoping that it does not trigger that, but I
Mm-hmm. Right.
suppose if there has been some recent development other places on site, then it could. But the transfer station is usually under a separate type of permit,
Right,
usually like a
so-
solid waste permit.
But it's on the same lot, so
Right.
I don't know how they
Yeah, it can be,
determine that.
it can be a gray area for
Yeah,
sure, so
yeah.
it's, yeah, if you don't mind reaching out to
No,
them.
I don't mind.
And then, you know, we can
Yeah.
circle the wagons with the DEP on that,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, I mean, if it did trigger, well, I guess there's 2 levels of permit it could trigger. It could either be a stormwater permit, if, let's say, you've already built another half acre of impervious on site since 2006. This would probably put you over that 1 acre threshold, so then we would need to get a stormwater permit for this, which wouldn't be a problem, we can do that. It takes a little longer to be processed through the town, through the DEP. If, let's say, there were 2 3/4 acres of new impervious built previously, and our additional 30,000 square feet here would put us over 3 acres, then we'd be looking at a site law permit through the DEP, which is much more significant. But I'm hoping that we don't get to that point, but I will probably have
Okay.
some good background information on that. Again, I mean, that's a permit that we can get, but it just takes longer.
Is there any requirement for wetland restoration or anything like that because of this project?
No, not for this project. Again, unless there was a lot of other wetland impact on site that I'm not aware of. But I don't believe that there would be. And we're keeping part of the reason for the head walls on the culvert here is because we do need to keep that impact under 500 square feet. And if we didn't have the head walls, we would be over that, and then we'd be paying, $14 a square foot, which adds up pretty quick, it ends up being $35,000 before you know it for nothing. So that's why we're,
For a feature that's this wide.
yes. It's frustrating. But I was considering those head walls to be, precast blocks, I mean, nothing fancy, I mean, unless, you have an aesthetic look you're going for, but I was trying to keep them just functional and, relatively cheap, yeah.
So this configuration, you're 25 feet from that stream there? No, I guess it would be the kind of east side?
So,
No, on the building, sorry, over
70.
the other side of the building.
Where the arrows are?
No, sorry.
Land
That-
Right, the
This
right
here?
side of the picture.
Yes, thank you, the right side.
Keep going to
No,
your right, keep going to your right.
There.
oh, this one,
Is there
okay.
going to be a setback issue there?
No, so these wetlands do not trigger any setbacks.
Okay.
Those are just your basic forested
Okay,
wetlands.
okay,
So these 3 here are, and if it wasn't for this wetland of special significance, we wouldn't need any DEP permitting for this project from a NERPA, from a wetland standpoint. It's only because of this here, so,
Vernal pool off the site.
yeah, the vernal pool way up here, so, but no, there's no setback requirements from these wetlands.
Okay.
And where, can you just point, you may have already done this and I apologize, can you just point out electric?
I haven't put that on
Yeah,
the
okay.
plan yet, but I
Okay,
mean, I'm
cool.
assuming it'll be underground coming up, unless you prefer to go overhead, or if there's a cost saving there. I don't know if the town allows overhead on new development.
I think
I don't think that's
I
the
don't-
problem, but
I don't think
keeping
it
it underground is gonna be better for,
it would be
Either way,
nice.
we're
Yeah, it's the way to go, for
filling the
sure.
road
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah.
anyway.
But I would
It's-
assume it'll be, well,
People
maybe,
just
maybe
put
we
it
just
in
go
road
overhead,
excavation.
like.
If you went
or
overhead,
something
you'd
like
come
that.
from Mountain Road
Actually,
though,
there's
probably,
one right
instead of,
here. Maybe we just come off of
it'd
that
be a
one.
shorter run.
We'd have to check that with CMP,
Oh, to the
I guess,
building?
or- Is it
Yeah.
CMP up here?
So you'd have to go across somebody else's property.
Yeah,
Oh,
and then
that's
we'd
right,
have to
that
find a place
strip.
for a transformer up
Well,
here
I think we
somewhere,
own that strip, but we don't own
Won't
the
conflict.
other, on the other side
but
of
There
it.
is gonna need to be a well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
So-
yeah, I mean, like, we would.
it'll be a
refer to
bedrock well, obviously. we won't have a few
CMP
feet.
to where,
Bedrock, so-
Yeah.
what point you would own to,
But they said there were some
Just have-
challenges with,
the transformer somewhere, so.
I think we'd put it up by the parking lot, I would think.
Great question.
So just
Transformer.
run the primary up the road and just put put the transformer somewhere.
yeah, I don't know where the electrical room's gonna go, but, you know, I was kinda thinking maybe, we're gonna have a little bit of a grass area here, even when phase two, actually, we can, you know, it might be a little tight there with the pavement setbacks. I don't know, we could put it over here, we can think about it.
I think we're talking about three-phase power too, is
It's,
that right?
You do need
Yeah,
three-phase,
yeah.
okay, so it'd be
Well,
like a
it's available.
9x9.
Yeah.
Do you need three-phase in the building?
if you're
No,
gonna put a breathing air compressor in there, I highly recommend it.
Okay, yeah, that's, yeah, we'll just need a larger transformer then, I assume. From my perspective, obviously, it's different for you guys.
The generator's gonna have to go somewhere there too,
Oh, yeah.
in the vicinity.
Oh, you got a generator?
Oh,
Okay, good to know.
And transfer. For the
Any idea what size that generator is?
No,
diesel.
I haven't done any electrical analysis
yeah,
on the
yeah.
building, I don't know what the,
what do we have here?
I'd have to go back and look to see
Okay.
what size.
I don't remember.
We have a guess on it, I think,
Okay.
but we're powering them.
In one of the proposals, there was a generator, it was priced. Do you remember that, Mark? What size that was? I don't.
It had a
Top of my
size on
head.
it, that particular number has slipped my mind.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming it'll just be a diesel generator?
Propane,
Yeah.
Propane?
I would imagine.
If it's,
propane's
depending
way
on
more
the
expensive to
size.
operate though.
It depends,
what?
yeah, the,
Propane's way more expensive to operate though.
It's more, and it doesn't power as much, so we've been mostly diesels.
No?
what are the fuels that you have on any other ones here? Are they all
Propane here.
propane?
Yeah, the Ozark Island Station's diesel.
What is the primary heating gonna be in the building? Are we gonna need propane tanks for that?
Heat pumps.
It's all gonna be heat pumps?
Pretty much,
Okay.
yeah. Some,
With like wall mount, are we gonna need outdoor condensers?
yes.
Okay. I guess one other question too, while we're kind of in some of the details here, for the fire tank, for the sprinkler system, are you gonna wanna be able to attach a hydrant, like a dry hydrant for that too? Or are we just simply gonna need to fill it?
Well, originally the intent was, we were filling in a big space on the other side of the road. We were gonna have water capacity for the separate tanks, one for the building, one for hydrant, which is why I was kinda asking about that.
Oh, okay,
Right? I don't think we're allowed to use cistern that's dedicated to the sprinkler system.
right,
For off-site
Okay.
firefighting, right? So it's supposed to be whatever the 2-hour allowance is for the sprinkler system demand, plus 2 hose lines, which is 250 apiece, so 500 gallons a minute for the 2 hours is what it's
Okay.
supposed to be designed to. So I think that's right around 90,000 gallons of water just for the building.
right. Oh, 90,000? Oh, I thought we were at 30, but, yeah,
For the sprinkler system, I think.
for 30.
Yeah.
But you're saying you think we need.
Well, it's gonna be whatever NFPA 13 says, so when you
Yeah.
guys go to the state fire marshal, get that permit, they'll tell
I
you.
guess we'll get a fire protection.
Whoever the
engineer to-
sprinkler system designer is gonna have to determine that, but.
So I'm
when
showing
I
the,
was looking at it for a cistern for the marina over here, and the number I was coming up was 90,000, but, and maybe this isn't the same hazard classification, so maybe it's
Okay.
lower,
Yeah.
lower off. But ultimately, it's gonna be a 13 system, so you're gonna need to have that dedicated fire pump at the tanks, and that's three-phase.
Okay.
So that's the other reason you need three-phase on site.
Okay. And then if we can't get this to be a, you know, a fire pond essentially, are you actually gonna want another cistern for hooking your truck up to?
I think one or the other. I don't think both.
Okay, well, we'll need that area for stormwater management probably, but if we can't turn it into a reservoir for you guys to draw from, then we would probably need a cistern elsewhere, is what I'm
I
hearing.
mean, right now you just draft from ponds, is that where you, how you fill?
Yeah, yeah, and so, I mean, in lieu of that second cistern for, talking about for fire suppression purposes elsewhere.
Yeah.
Right, that's why I was asking whether or not the pond could be made
Right.
suitable for that
Right,
purpose,
right.
just put a dry hydrant in it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're gonna find this is, it's not, I mean, this basin is probably not gonna be much bigger than the tables, you know.
I mean,
circumference here.
our other cistern in town that we use for firefighting purposes is the only water supply on Bailey Island. It's a 30,000 gallon tank.
Yeah,
We drained it on the last structure fire we had down there, completely dry.
I mean, if it doesn't need to be in proximity to the actual fire station, I mean, we could look at putting another cistern down here that would be just for, you know, for you guys to hook up to when you need it. Just kind of thinking about different options. Because we are starting to run out of space a little bit here, especially with our setbacks. And I know it drops off a little bit here too, so it might be better for, you know,
Let's see where we end up with the.
The other piece of it is having it somewhere where we can park the vehicles in the parking lot and then walk to the hydrant, because it's right close by. That gives us the opportunity to do some training for our crews.
Okay.
Right, so if we had that at least 30,000 gallon water supply there, we would use it for a fire at the, you know, at the transfer, out back at the transfer station or whatever. But we can put nozzles into it, and we can just flow right back into the tank and do training. Training is precious to us.
Okay.
Here for that stuff. The big trick is wherever you put that hydrant, it needs to be far enough back, and there needs to be a parking space to get the trucks out of the road.
okay. But it can be a parallel
Yeah.
spot for
Yeah.
one vehicle?
Yeah, tank truck, whatever.
One tank, yeah,
Rest
one-
of them up to the station.
Might be some parallels with what, if you have to do anything for the transfer station too, and something like that, so. Opportunities there possibly.
I think, whoops, the electrical's kind of right in the corner here, so maybe.
Front corner?
Yeah, but right now, I mean, I can move it if we need to, but
Yeah.
I think you'd, at the top of the road, probably have the transformer generator somewhere.
Yeah, maybe we put them over here or something.
side
I
or-
don't know what the grades look like there. I guess I can, let's see. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
relatively flat there. Might be able to make that
So
work.
just run primary all the way up there and
Yeah,
then,
Put the transformer and the generator both there?
yeah,
possibly, yeah.
that saves a little wiring.
Yep.
I mean, because the other side of that is, well, no, never mind. I was gonna say, you're building up on the side of the driveway there. You could put a cistern behind it and just run your wall around the cistern, but that doesn't really work for you, because then you won't have the slope to get your stormwater into it, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, the cistern has to be frost protected too, though, right? So we can't have that vertical wall exposed, so we'd have to have
4 feet around
a
it.
fair amount of fill around it, yeah.
All right, other questions or?
No.
Good. So, when Silas, you start moving forward, I think, with DEP and those
Yep.
guys. And then, let's get you guys on another quick, well, not so quick, but, pricing.
Yeah,
more
we can
accurate
talk to some
pricing
people, we can
exercise.
start to talk to some, we'll reach out and get some preliminary site fill, and we'll figure out some big ticket items here, and
Right.
Okay.
get some areas taken off, and come up with some volumes, and definitely on that.
Yeah, and I would just love to sort of have a small conversation first about how to get some geotechnical information that the structure will be happy with, so that we can, because I'm assuming that we would probably do rock removal in allowance with, you know, costs, blah, 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 right?
Yeah, I mean, if you don't do a geotech, it becomes
Unclaimed.
unclassified. and-
Right. So we can talk, we can come back with like what seemed like a better buy for the owner, just how to go about this.
Plus, you need the geotech for the leach field anyways, right?
A site evaluator, so some, that, I think, that's what I was saying, he could maybe, he's gonna probe around there, and like I said, I'm pretty confident that there's nothing more than 2 feet of soil anywhere there.
We
And
do
that's-
have a lot of shale ledge around here in different places in town though, too, so
Okay.
that's,
Yeah,
I mean, we have granite, we have quartz, we have shale,
Yeah.
we have every kind of different,
everything I see sticking up out there looks pretty granite-y, but it could switch, I don't know.
move 5 feet over and it'll change in a
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So, yes.
Are we looking at a November for the planning board or?
Yeah, I think still, because where it's mainly this stuff, they're gonna look at the outside, so planning, you know, as we go into DEP, it'll also be planning board and looking at the elevations and the exterior of the building and the site is really what we're looking at, so.
and
still open for-
you're still planning on the permitting process for all the different permits you need to get to do the footprint for the build-out, the full build-out, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Now we have a list of some of these, the permits that we have to do. We'll plug them into the schedule and we'll update the schedule and we'll get it laid out again here.
And
This-
then, go ahead.
This was just the big hurdle.
Yeah,
It's like, it
Yeah.
usually doesn't take this long to
Right.
like find where you're gonna put the
Right.
building.
right, where is the building?
This
space?
was pretty challenging with our stream, wetland, vernal pool, significant wetland area, you know.
But It's at the base of a hill,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah,
Yeah.
so.
So, in terms of November, what are your planning board dates in November? Do we know?
It's usually the third Wednesday,
Okay,
and they need information 3 weeks prior to,
okay,
and always recommend meeting with the planner before submitting your materials, because they'll kind of remind you of all that's needed.
right. Okay, and then, just another topic, have you heard anything more about the federal earmark? Do we have any more?
We got a little bit of information.
Okay.
More informally,
Yeah,
that it was looking good.
great, that's good. And do we have any kind of feeling for when, I mean, that money would actually come into
Don't know.
being? Okay,
I can probe a little, see if
Yeah.
I can find out.
right, and then Andy, in your experience in kind of a typical year, this money becomes actually available
Well,
in the spring or?
so we just had an interesting meeting with Thomaston the other day.
Okay,
So there's a new, we've been dealing with the architect for, who was our, sorry, I'm having a little senior moment, the USDA. And so that is administering the money. I think that's, is administering yours.
That's the one we had to check the box for.
Yes, yeah, so, so there's, we're kind of catching up on some paperwork there, so they're supposed to, you're supposed to, have, you know, so we've submitted for it, then Congress needs to authorize it, then we need to get the fund, the paperwork in to them for their approval of the money, and then it'll become available. They're trying to push us back into, like, and one of the, it's just, we're working on it right now, hopefully we'll solve it on Thomaston. One of the people in the state, he just doesn't understand construction management. And he's like, well, wait, now you gotta have like the plans submitted and approved before you can hire the contractor. And like, but we have to have a bid, and they have to be the low bid.
Right, right.
And he has like, so the architect that's in, you know, that was on their group was trying to explain to him.
Yeah.
They were on the same team.
Oh, so it was an administrator at USDA.
Two of
that-
them. Yeah, that Bill's the architect in the state for USDA. And then Kevin, the other Kevin is the bean counter for USDA.
So they're
And so
catching up on the.
Kevin doesn't understand construction management. Bill has, you coworker was trying to explain it to him. And at the end of the conversation for Thomaston, Bill said, well, we'll go to our boss, the head of the, of
So
the
they're just-
group, yeah.
So
And-
were they appropriated current budget year, or were they?
Yeah, so
appropriated for
they
next
got
budget?
appropriated the year before you. The funds, instead of becoming available Congress, instead of approving the funds last September, finally approved them after the long federal government shutdown in January. And then we've put in the stuff that we thought we needed to put in, but then there's other steps that we're, that they're trying to get.
So 8 months after it was approved and the budget
If-
is still not,
If you went by their steps, it'd take you almost 2.5 years to get the money.
oof.
And at that point, you're like, well, then I guess we gotta up our price by 35%. So actually what you were saying is I
I don't,
say, okay, true.
we can,
But I mean, it's just so, but Bill seems to be, understand it more, and, he's, trying to kind of push things along. It's all, it's just all about making sure it's competitively bid, and we are, we will be.
Right, and we will.
Nobody's, you're not hiring your brother.
Right.
I mean, it's just rules that are in there to make sure that federal funds are not mismanaged, and
yeah. They're
so,
just,
we'll get through it.
Well, there was another article recently in the Portland paper about, I believe it was a affordable housing project that was
Yeah.
being federally funded, and they were requesting waivers for things like maybe HVAC, I'm not sure exactly what it was,
Yeah.
but components that are hard to get in the United States.
Yeah.
BABA.
And it was taking like 7 or 8 months to get a waiver. And so, I mean, that concerns me too, if we run into that issue.
I think what I would suggest, and Andy, you probably have a lot of good experience around this, and Mark, on my team, really has a lot of experience around this. So we are doing a BABA project right now. Oh, 2, right, I try to forget, anyway. So the main housing is helping a bit in that they're making everyone come forward with like, here's our spec of all of our products, and that they want to understand, is it all BABA compliant, and then which ones are you trying to get a waiver for? And I think, are they like grouping all the main housing projects together for the waivers, or what are they doing?
well, there was a little bit on that, and
Okay.
there also, the big goal of like how main housing is helping administer these, the big goal is that they understand, and it's on the drawings, that to specify products you don't have to get a waiver for, and that is working easier, and more every single day, these manufacturers are bringing stuff online that is compliant.
Right.
Yes, in the past, it was extremely difficult, and we don't build things here, right? That is becoming less and less of the case. There is a lot of horror stories out there. The day is getting much less cloudy every day, a lot more sunnier. We're seeing a lot more stuff come online, and it's not as doom and gloom. It is still, it's not nothing. I'm not gonna say it's not nothing, but it is significantly, it's looking better every day, and they're better understanding it. And we're working through on these projects, and you have less choices because there's certain things, they can't make everything here.
Right.
But they are making stuff that is compliant if it is that.
And I feel like this project is sort of simple and standard enough that we should be able to kind of weave our way through the stuff that we actually need on the project.
Yep.
And specify it so that it really works.
Because I remember the thing that kept coming up was the heat pumps.
Yeah.
And they are making, I think I heard, or somebody told me there's
Yes.
a BABA
They're trying to-
compliant heat pump
There,
coming up.
those are, yeah, there was like a 2 or 3 year lead time on setting a factory up and getting it going for the final part of it. And they're very close to that. They're almost there if
Yeah,
not.
yeah,
so.
that could be coming.
Yeah.
You'll get their first heat pump, I guess. See if it works.
I know with like the framing, we've done stuff, like there have been manufacturers that have set up in Maine. They did a lot of stuff previously in Canada. Now they've set up a point in Maine to do this stuff and to assemble a lot of the lumber ahead of time and to help handle it and stuff. And that is, so they're actively investing in being compliant with these things.
Right, so we're hoping to
Optimistic.
you know, combine all of our knowledge and experience,
Yes.
Yeah.
bring it here, and
Yeah.
get your project done.
Yeah.
Many body flows.
Initially, we talked about a lot of this being
Isn't that on, Dave?
built, I'm sorry, being built off-site and brought in panels and so forth. Are we still in that same model?
Yeah, I mean,
I
a
think,
lot of
yeah.
these are gonna be trusses overhead, so, right, and then,
They could be roof cassettes, right? I mean, they could bring in
yeah, so like, we're gonna, this is a one-story building, right? So we're gonna have a tremendous amount of linear footage of wall. And so we can panelize walls very easily off-site, and those can be brought in, and those stood right up very quickly. And then the roof trusses, the wooden roof trusses up top, get pieced together, they get brought in, and those are easy to do as well.
and they could, I mean, so we will reach out to some suppliers who we work with who can, so they can panelize the walls, so the walls will all come in all formed up. Probably the inside, the interior walls will probably be drywall, you know, metal studs, because
Yeah,
the
those are-
drywaller can do them, and that's simpler. But then the roof panels, we can sort of figure
Yeah,
out.
those would
what
be the
those-
structural walls, like the exterior and
Yep.
certain interior
Mhm.
bearing walls for the trusses and such. Those would be panelized likely off-site, and we can bring them in and they set them real quick, and it's, you stand it up rather than trying to scab it together as you stand out there in the weather. And that has saved us, doing it in a factory has saved us tremendous amounts of time and effort of being on site. And then you just show up and you stand it up right away rather than having to do things temporarily. And that has proven to be a bonus, a benefit on many projects that we've done.
Construction's usually better, because somebody's working
Under roof.
inside.
Yeah, you can get all the plumbers and electricians
Yep.
all inside, they're happier that way.
And they think about it too, it's all, rather than trying to figure it out in the field, it's all laid out in a factory and it's held square on a table, nice, and it's put together very nicely.
So, so this whole group will get back together again in 2 weeks. Mark, do you feel like we can get some updated site numbers in 2 weeks? Or do
Yeah,
you
I'm
wanna kind of
gonna
put
reach
fun on
out, we
that?
got the drawings here.
Okay.
We'll reach out, talk to some people, see what their thoughts are. I think it's getting to a better time of year, so they're not bidding everything under the sun right now, so they might have a little ability, so we'll have to talk to some people and, see what their thoughts are.
So then I think, what I would like to, we're just gonna make sure we can, what I'd like to do for our next meeting would be come forward with an updated, you know, sort of schematic design number, including the site, and we will kind of get back to with like, how are we doing? Because the site guys are gonna, the tricky part is a lot of site guys are gonna be out there right now. Schools, they should have finished up, you know, they still, I mean, they're trying to, you know, finish up their season and do well while the weather's good,
Yep.
so we'll see what we can get from site folks. But that's really the next important, really big number, and then I'd also just like to update the schedule, so we can look at sort of the next design, like, just get all the permitting, et cetera, into a schedule, which will literally not be what happens, but you gotta start somewhere. You know, you gotta start with here's what we think is gonna happen, and then we can start laying out all the, like, we need all these things by this date, and so that means we can go and start getting into the ground on this specific date, so.
Right.
Okay. 2 weeks from today, huh?
Yep.
3
Yeah.
o'clock.
Yeah,
And this is
Sounds good.
perfect. This is 1 hour, which is what our window is gonna be going forward.
great,
Yeah.
good.
Sounds like
All
a
right.
plan.
All right.
Thank you, folks.
Very
Yeah,
good,
thank you
thank
very
you.
much.
Everybody.
Thank you. Adjourned, Kevin?
We're adjourned. It is 4:01.